Team, there are 5 major activities that we need to be proficient in order to be able to respond to any number of contingencies that may happen in our world, in our life, in our community. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts and your comments down below about how to be best prepared for the Murphys of life as we all continue to master our craft and develop our tactical virtue. Each of these 5 major categories has separate individual activities, if you will. And we need to know and understand that there may be overarching things, right? There may be forests out there that we need to be able to navigate through. But each terrain offers its own unique attributes. And so we need different competencies for each one. The same with planning for WIN SHTF. And that first one is just that. It's to plan, right? So some of the things that we need to get and wrap our head around is there needs to be a so what, or what is this triggering point, if you will, right? There needs to be a reason to plan. There needs to be something to plan for. We have to have gone through some risk management process to identify things and activities that we need to be able to respond to or be prepared for. And so we may call this, we may receive this by means of an operations order, right? It may give us task and purpose. It could just be through our own self-awareness. But we need to take this purpose and this task and be able to plan against it, right? Does that make sense? We need to get out the old whiteboard. We need to open up the notepad, get the pen and the pencil, the ink stick out, if you will, and use some reverse planning from a successful end state back to now, and utilize only about 1/3 of our time for planning so that we can use 2/3 for execution and rehearsals, right? We begin to plot out all of this and all of the contingencies that we need to plan for this particular operation, right? Because everything has its own unique flavors that it may have. Even just Riggs or Hondo, even just Hondo and I moving out through these woods, it has unique risks that will only be encountered here, right? Or that have a higher probability of being encountered out here. And so there are things that we need to plan and mitigate for based off of our individual terrain. But regardless of the terrain, regardless of the activity, right, the conditions may change, but the standards remain the same. So we plan, but just because we planned doesn't mean that we're done. Because the very next thing we have to be able to do is to go and conduct a reconnaissance. Now, most of the time we associate reconnaissance with a map recon, right? Or we associate it with putting boots on the ground. But we need to dial this back and to truly understand what it is that we're doing. And what we're doing is fact finding. We are proving assumptions that we made in our planning. If we plan for X, Y, and Z during our recon, we should prove that X, Y, and Z exists, and that what how we plan to mitigate or how we plan to negotiate a variety of contingencies is actually going to be worthwhile. Like we made the proper assumptions, right? Because everything begins and ends with assessment, and we need to be able to continuously orient, observe, decide, and act. And in this process of conducting a reconnaissance, we need to prove our assumptions were true. So that next step that we need to take is to complete our plan. We've done our initial planning, we've conducted our reconnaissance, we've proved our assumptions were true. Now we need to make adjustments to our plan. We can't assume that what we planned on originally is going to work out in the end. Always question yourself. Always look for your own weaknesses and identify your strengths and create the environment for both of them to continuously improve. Once we have our plan completed, we can give our plan to those who are in our charge and go on with the next step. And this next one is a deal breaker. It will make or break your operation. You have to get out and you have to conduct rehearsals, right? You have to conduct your checks and your inspections prior to going out and rehearsing, making sure that you know what you need to have, making sure you have all of the skills, right? Not just all of the stuff, but all of the skills needed in order to be able to execute your plan. You have all the stuff needed to execute your plan, as well as to respond to any contingency. You go out now and you rehearse, because what got you to where you're at now will not get you to where you want to go. And you can't assume that because you've done something in the past, it's good enough. Just because you grouped and zeroed your weapon that's sitting in your mom's basement 4 years ago doesn't mean that it's still good. Doesn't mean that you're still good. We all suck and we need to improve. The only way to improve is to go out and conduct rehearsals, your mini drills for the main event. Do them individually, do them as a team, and do them collectively. And at the end of each one, you conduct an after-action review, right? And make adjustments to your plan that you already completed, which is never complete, by the way, because of Murphy, and we can always and constantly improve our position. But you have to rehearse, and so when you are planning and you're allocating time, it is critical that you allocate time for these rehearsals. If you don't, you're going to find yourself shit out of luck. And now we're ready. We are ready to go out and execute what we have planned, reconned, completed planning, rehearsed, and now we're ready to go execute it. We've made all of our adjustments. Now we're ready to go and do the things, right? And at the end of the day, again, we conduct another after-action review to discover 5 basic things, right? What was supposed to happen? What did happen? What went right? What went wrong? And what can we do in the future to make it better? Because even if you are planning and preparing for some sort of SHTF scenario, in these times, you're going to find yourself repeating the same individual task. Maybe it's a motorcade operation. Maybe it's a dismounted patrol. Maybe it's resupplying a cache. Maybe it's conducting communications. Maybe it is firing, right? We need to be able to shoot, move, and communicate, do all of the things. Well, just because you've done it once doesn't mean it's the end state. You're going to find yourself doing the same thing again in different areas with new threats. So team, let me know what your thoughts are on how to do these things. You could call them troop leading procedures, right? If you notice a similarity. You could think of it as an operations process. There are all types of models that are out there to do these basic tasks. But if I was to try to create something that didn't have or was tied to an acronym, and if I tried to boil things down to the most fundamental mountaintops, if you will, it would be these 5 basic things: to plan, to recon, to complete our plan, to rehearse, and then to go execute. And to remember that everything begins and ends with an assessment, even all of these individual mountaintops. Team, I appreciate you guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments below as we all continue to master our craft and develop our tactical virtue. As always, until then, you stay out there, you keep grinding, and you stay stoked. Team, if you want to master your craft and develop your tactical virtue, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so that you can stay up to date with future content. Consider becoming a channel member. It's going to give you exclusive access to content not available to anybody else. I appreciate you guys. Until then, you stay out there, you keep grinding, and you stay stoked.
I know you're out there! Come to my voice!